Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Trust Check with me, Hajara Hussaini. Trust Check comes as a weekly reminder for you to always cross-check the information you receive before sharing, and that is why we bring you our verdicts on false and misleading information shared on and off social media that have people asking so many questions. Let's take a quick break. Welcome back. In this week's episode, we will be looking at claims made on and off the internet, starting with a message purported on WhatsApp suggesting that the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia would sponsor over 400,000 persons for the 2023 Hajj. The message was shared with a link attached to it for interested persons to apply, and part of the message reads, "Everyone can apply for 2023 free sponsorship Hajj scheme. Mohammed bin Salman is providing over 400,000 Hajj slots for everyone willing." There were so many red flags in this purported message, but we followed the link to get more information to prove it is indeed fake. After following the link, we landed on a biodata page where information like name, age, email, and mobile phone number, among others, were needed to proceed to the next step. A picture of the prince was on display alongside some testimonials in the form of comments posted. Then an icon popped up asking to click on continue to proceed, and the next page asked for the applicant's full name and if applicant has an international passport. After clicking on send, a message was on display saying, "You are qualified to apply for Mohammed bin Salman Hajj Sponsorship Scheme 2023, and that interested persons should share with 5 groups of 15 friends on WhatsApp." Phishing site, for those who do not know, is a form of scam where an individual appears as a trusted entity or person in email or other forms of communication. The perpetrators often use emails to distribute malicious content like links or attachments in order to gain access to people's devices. However, the Crown Prince does not offer direct sponsorship but through its embassies in other countries, and this process is not carried out online. And sponsoring over 400,000 people from Nigeria at the cost of 2 million naira per head seems impossible and too good to be true. So based on available data, we can confirm that the message is misleading and aimed at gaining access to people's devices through the use of phishing sites. The next claim was made by the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, who made some statements during a Federal Executive Council meeting stating that Nigeria is the only African country in 2022 that has been fully compliant with the protection of journalists. He also claimed that not a single incident of death of a journalist has been recorded in Nigeria arising from infractions relating thereto. Let's take a look.
Committee for the Protection of Journalists, which is an international committee, had equally adjudged Nigeria as the only African country last year that has been in full compliance in terms of the protection of the rights of the journalists, taking into consideration that not a single incident of death of a journalist has been recorded in Nigeria arising from infractions relating thereto.
Trust Check sought to ascertain the authenticity of his statements because the claims contradict so many reports and data documented about journalist attacks in the country. We visited the Committee to Protect Journalists website where he claimed he got this information from and found out that the report by the committee shows that at least 24 journalists have been killed in the country since 1992, with 12 confirmed to have been killed while doing their job. Also, the Press Attack Track website, which tracks and documents attacks on journalists, has over 500 reports from Nigeria since 1985, documenting 52 victims of an attack in 2022, with state actors responsible for most of the attacks. However, in the first quarter of 2023, preliminary findings by Press Track Attack show at least 45 journalists were attacked physically, accounting for most cases recorded. Another report by the Media Foundation for West Africa in 2021 stated that 8 journalists have been killed under the Buhari-led administration, but only 4 were confirmed to have died during the discharge of their duty. Let's hear from Jonathan Rosen, a senior researcher at the Committee to Protect Journalists, as he further enlightens us.
The Committee to Protect Journalists, which is an independent, not-profit organization that promotes press freedom around the world, has for decades documented press freedom issues in Nigeria, including attacks on journalists, arrests of journalists, prolonged prosecutions and detentions of journalists, the maintenance of laws that criminalize journalism, and surveillance of the press. All of these are, of course, very concerning for the media environment in the country and run counter to the minister's comments. CPJ documents the killings of journalists around the world. And since 1992, when we began keeping records, the Committee to Protect Journalists has documented 24 killings of journalists in Nigeria. 12 of those cases, we have been able to confirm the killing is connected to the journalists' work. The other 12, we continue to investigate. So certainly the killings of journalists is a major issue for the media environment in Nigeria. The Committee to Protect Journalists conducts an annual Global Impunity Index, which calculates the number of unsolved journalist murders as a percentage of each country's population. Nigeria featured on this index for its 10-year window under examination, and a murder of a journalist in 2009 fell outside of that window when we conducted the evaluation in 2020. This was the only reason that Nigeria was removed from the index. It had nothing to do with any actions or not taken by the Nigerian government.
So based on verifiable data and Rosen's comments, we can confirm that the claims made by Abubakar Malami that Nigeria has been fully compliant with the protection of journalists and recorded no single incidence of death are misleading and inaccurate. The next claim was made on Facebook stating that Orji Uzor Kalu said Igbos should hold Peter Obi responsible if he fails to be the next Senate president and must stop the court case he has against Tinubu now. We found the statement to be too audacious, so we conducted manual searches on the claim, checked Orji Uzor Kalu's official social media accounts and discovered that the post did not emanate from him. Our verdict follows a statement he took to his Facebook page to debunk the claim, stating that the post was made to tarnish his image. Another claim was made suggesting that the federal government has excluded the Ministry of Finance from Treasury's single account policy. This report was published by many blogs and online mediums. For clarity, TSA is an arrangement where all government ministries, departments, and agencies operate a unified structure of government bank accounts in a single account or a group of linked accounts for all receipts and payments, and this began in September 2015. However, our research shows that the federal government only approved the partial exemption of the Ministry of Finance Incorporated from the TSA policy, which is a corporation solely vested with the responsibility to manage all federal government investments, interests, estates, and rights. The president announced this during the inauguration of the Governing Council of MOFI, where he granted the request of the board to charge management and transaction fees. Available information confirms that the president did not exempt the Federal Ministry of Finance from the Treasury Single Account, CSA, but partially exempted the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, which is saddled with the responsibility of managing Nigeria's investment, interest, amongst others. Hence, the claim is misleading. Fake news purveyors always take advantage of trending issues to misinform people and in turn cause panic and shock. Sometimes when you come across information that seems too good to be true, a manual search on Google can save you from becoming a victim of fake news merchants. Now to our Need to Know segment, we'll be talking about the federal government's new tax policy. Recently, the federal government introduced new tax, and that will increase excise duty on alcoholic beverages, plastics, and vehicles. Consequently, the government has now revised the imports prohibition list with the inclusion of new items. This disclosure on the new tax is contained in the new fiscal policy measures for 2023, signed by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed. According to the Finance Minister, 75 naira per litre will be charged on all alcoholic beverages and beer not made from malt, whether fermented or not fermented, in 2023. Before the new rates, the government taxed imported alcoholic beverages using Valorum rates, levying of tax or custom duties based on the estimated value of goods or transactions concerned. Now there is a specific rate, not an estimate. The same excise rates will be applied to the importation of wine. The federal government also revised the imports prohibition list with the inclusion of used motor vehicles above 12 years from the year of manufacture, paracetamol tablets and syrups, chloroquine tablets and syrups, folic acid tablets and vitamin B complex tablets, among others. Taiwo Oyedele, in an analysis, said it is President Muhammadu Buhari's parting tax gift to the people. He suggested that the 2023 fiscal policy measures should be suspended and revisited to avoid potential negative consequences. Also, let's make it a habit to verify the information we receive before sharing them to reduce the spread of fake news in society. Always remember that fake news causes damage with irreversible effects. For more details on the fact check, visit www.trustcheck.dailytrust.com and follow us on all our social media platforms at Trust TV News. Until I come your way next week, I am Hajara Hussaini.